Chapter 25:11. Zhongquan's mockery made Chengfeng angry. He really didn't expect that he put down his figure and came to Zhongquan to ask him to be more or less polite, right? As a result, the old beastard said that he was thinking of Fert. This is really outrageous. But he still gritted his teeth and said, "Brother Wade, you and my family have been fighting secretly for so many years. You should also know what the mountains don't turn around. If you want to completely turn your face with me today, you will wait for Chengfeng to relax in the future. Come, don't blame my ruthlessness, men." Zhongquan sneered. "Chengfeng, it's boring for me to say that you are a thief. If you are really capable, just think of it yourself. What's the point of running over and pretending to be ruthless?" After he finished speaking, he continued to sneer. "At this time, you run over to me to delete the video. Think about it with your toes. I can't promise you." Chengfeng suffered a huge humiliation and gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, Zhongquan, if you don't want to delete the video, then I don't want to force it. Since there is no front, then we will talk about the business directly. I heard that your short video platform costs more than 80 billion to buy, so let me give you 120 billion directly, and you sell it to me and make a net profit of more than 30 billion. How about it?" "No," Zhongquan refused without hesitation. "You don't know how optimistic I am for the short video industry. The reason I bought this platform was to make the short video industry bigger and stronger. How could this be possible?" "Have you shot it long ago?" Chengfeng said coldly. "Speaking of it, isn't it just too little money? So I won't grind with you 150 billion. As long as you say something, I will arrange financial payment now." "Impossible." Zhongquan smiled slightly. "I, in principle, never have trouble with money, but today's matter is definitely not a problem that money can solve. I persuade you to die." After speaking, he didn't wait for Chengfeng's response and simply ended the call. Chengfeng on the other end of the phone was so angry that his chest fluctuated violently. His butler hurriedly asked, "Master!" Zhongquan made it clear that he wanted to see our jokes. Wouldn't it be that he was secretly instigating the affairs of Aurus Hill? Maybe. The second son is now in his hands. Chengfeng waved his hand with a dark face and said coldly, "Impossible. Even if Aurus Hill is the site of the Wade family, it is impossible for the Wade family to deal with all this behind their backs." After that, Chengfeng said again, "Don't forget, Shred has never been to Aurus Hill before. When he exposed himself in Aurus Hill, he had just arrived there. Think about it, when he arrived in Aurus Hill, he was consciously found by the police immediately, and then he rushed into the treasure pavilion and kidnapped Leona and Jiu. Immediately after that, when he drove Leona and Jiu to rendezvous with Stuart, something happened suddenly, and the Wade family didn't even have an hour to prepare. In this time window of less than an hour, they not only need to track Shred accurately, but also have the ability to directly take down Stuart and the four of them. Stuart is very strong. As far as I know, the Wade family has not a single person who can surpass him." Speaking of this, Chengfeng continued to analyze. "There is also the disappearance of Shud. Shud was in the hotel, and there were more than 20 masters from Su family to protect. But the other party could unexpectedly be unaware of these more than 20 masters. Next, took him away easily. This proves that the opponent's strength is far higher than the more than 20 masters. How can there be such a powerful person in the Wade family?" Chapter 25:12. To put it hard, if the Wade family really had this ability, they could have easily kidnapped me or assassinated me directly at home. How could they keep being crushed by the Su family? That's also... The butler hesitated for a moment, and then asked, "Master, then, could it be that the Wade family suddenly made friends with some hidden master?" "It's unlikely." Chengfeng shook his head and said, "The Wade family has always paid less attention to martial arts masters than we do. Zhongquan, an old man, only has money in his eyes, and he will spend a lot of money to raise a large number of martial arts masters. In this kind of thing, he is not interested at all. So how can such a person find a real expert to help?" With that said, Chengfeng said with a grim expression, "I can think of 3 possibilities now. The butler hurriedly asked, "Master, what are the three?" Cheng Feng said, "The first possibility is that the He family is against me behind the scenes." "What family?" The butler hurriedly asked. "You are talking about Ruoli's family." "Yes." Cheng Feng gritted his teeth. "Since Ruoli's accident, the He family has removed all the masters in our Su family, but never asked me for an explanation. The reason why they did not ask for an explanation is very important. Maybe it is planning to seek revenge in secret. Moreover, the He family is a family of martial arts, and there are many masters in the family. Maybe they are the ghosts behind them." The butler asked, "Master, what about the other two possibilities?" Cheng Feng said with a solemn expression, "Ruoli's life or death is still uncertain. If this girl is dead, it will be fine. But if she really escaped, then with her personality, she will probably get revenge on me." The butler opened the mouth and said, "Master, since Ruoli's whereabouts are unknown, I have followed your instructions and have been paying attention to the customs entry situation across the country. There has been no clue about her." "That can't be taken lightly," Cheng Feng sighed. "Although Ruoli is very young, she is indeed very powerful. If she is really alive, she is a time bomb." After speaking, Cheng Feng slapped his lips again and continued, "However, no matter it is the whole He family or Ruoli, their strength is very strong. But they are really not strong enough to make more than 20 top masters lick the dust. I didn't notice it, so this is something I haven't figured out." The housekeeper nodded and said seriously, "When the He family never turned our face with us, we almost knew the situation within the family. Among their generation of young people, the strongest is Ruoli, but she does not seem to be strong either. To this point." Cheng Feng sighed and said, "There is another possibility." The housekeeper hurriedly asked, "Master, what's the possibility?" Cheng Feng said, "Do you remember that Ji Fei and Ji Yu had an accident in Japan and were saved by a mysterious Chinese man?" "Remember." The butler said, "Miss Ji Yu has always wanted to find the whereabouts of that mysterious person." Cheng Feng said, "That person is extremely powerful. One person can kill multiple top Japanese ninjas unharmed, which is almost equivalent to one person being able to kill multiple Chinese martial arts masters in succession. It is definitely the top of the top. If this person is capable, it's really so strong, then it's very likely that he will kidnap Shota quietly under the eyelids of more than 20 masters in the Su family." Chapter 25:13. Cheng Feng at the moment has completely lost his position. It is precisely because of this that his thinking began to diverge, and even a little jumped off. In the dark, he felt that the master behind this incident was probably the supermaster who saved Ji Fei and Ji Yu in Japan. But the housekeeper felt a bit whimsical. He said euphemistically, "Master, the master that the eldest lady met in Japan has not confirmed his identity until now. We don't even know whether he is a Chinese or a Chinese living in Japan. Moreover, Kyoto and Oros Hill are separated by thousands of kilometers. In the vast crowd, how can the two people overlap each other so coincidence? Although this possibility exists, the probability is really too low." Cheng Feng shook his head and said seriously, "The basis for my judgment is not probability, but feeling." After all, Cheng Feng analyzed, "In Oros Hill, a mysterious person gave me a feeling of power and strength. I have only experienced this feeling before, and the last time I felt this way was after hearing about the deeds of that supermaster in Japan. That guy can easily kill a number of top Japanese ninjas in close hand-to-hand combat without being injured. I have never heard of such a master in so many years. Although I have heard of a lot of duels between Chinese and Japanese masters, and most of them were won by Chinese masters, but to be honest, I have never heard of a Sino-Japanese master showdown, victory without injury. Even if Bruce Lee competes with a Western master, it is impossible to guarantee that he will win unscathed. Once the opponent can be unharmed, it proves that his strength is geometrically ahead of the opponent. In other words, this mysterious person can be unscathed with one enemy and 7. Then, it is not a problem to be afraid of one enemy. Even if the number of opponents doubles, maybe he can still pay a certain price to win. One person killed 14 top ninjas. How many people do you think there are in the world? The butler suddenly fell into thought. After a long time, he nodded seriously and said, "Master, you are right. He can kill 7 Japanese ninjas unharmed, so his upper limit is far from 7. If you count this way, this human strength is simply unheard of." Chung Feng continued, "And this time, Oris Hill's behind-the-scenes man can not only easily capture Stewart and his 4 people, but also quietly take Shuda away under the eyes of more than 20 masters in the Su family. This strength, it's also unheard of. So Oris Hill, the man behind the scenes, feels like that Japanese mysterious master. 2 mysterious people whose identities I don't know can bring me the same feeling, which makes me have to connect the 2 together." Speaking of this, Chung Feng said firmly, "Moreover, the connection between these 2 mysterious people not only feels the same, but the important thing is that there is a clue that completely overlaps." The butler hurriedly asked, "Master, what is the clue?" Chung Feng spit out 3 words coldly, "Know the fish." Chapter 25:14. The butler looked terrified and blurted out, "You mean the mysterious master saved the eldest lady last time in Japan, this time in Oros Hill, or did he save the eldest lady?" "Yes," Chung Feng nodded and blurted out, "I feel that way now. I always feel that Zhu is not dead. If she is really alive, then the person who saved her must have been saved in Japan. Her mysterious person once." The butler asked a little puzzled, "Master, if the man behind Oris Hill this time is really the mysterious man in Japan, then I can understand that he saves the eldest young lady. What is his intention to kidnap the second son?" Chung Feng said, "Nok Shud. There is a high probability that he wants to avenge Jiu and her mother. After all, Shud went to Oros Hill to deal with this incident on behalf of the Su family. It is naturally the easiest thing to have him operated on." The butler hesitated. "Why is that mysterious person so good to miss? Not only did he save her twice, but also went to help her out." Chung Feng said sadly, "I can't tell you this. If my speculation is true, then this time he really took a stinky move." As he said, Chung Feng sighed and said to himself, "I knew that this mysterious master was affectionate and righteous to Jiu. I would kill me. I would not attack Leona. After all, she is Jiu's mother. She gets killed, and Jiu is alive. She won't forgive me in this life." In an instant, Chung Feng's expression became extremely annoyed, and he said in pain, "If my speculation is correct, then this mysterious person originally had the opportunity to be available to my Su family. How could it have grown to where it is today?" The butler hurriedly asked, "Master, if this is the case, is there still room for recovery?" "Recover it?" Chung Feng wrinkled his old face into a ball and said angrily, "How can I recover it now? I expelled her father and killed her mother. What's more nonsense is Shud and the damn Stewart. They also buckled Jiu's black pot on my head. How could Jiu forgive me? She didn't want my life, I burned the incense." The butler thought for a while and hurriedly said, "Master, I have an idea. I don't know if it is feasible." Chung Feng hurriedly said, "Say it." The housekeeper whispered, "In my opinion, it's better to let the eldest son come back now. On the one hand, you have to apologize to him and explain that you started with Leona to protect the family's reputation. As for the eldest lady, this is simply someone who wants to plant the blame. Here you are. On the other hand, if you ask him to come back and continue to sit where he was before, it is tantamount to taking a step back and showing him good." Chung Feng's expression immediately became very strange. The butler continued at this time, "Master, if your speculation is correct, if the eldest lady is still alive, then her mother must be alive too. You expelled the eldest son to Australia before, and today you expelled the eldest son's family. This is almost tantamount to offending all the 4 members of that branch of the family." As he said, he remembered something, and hurriedly added, "Oh yes, and Ruoli. If Ruoli is still missing, if this mysterious person is really in Oros Hill, then I guess Ruoli might return alive, maybe even by his side. So it seems, Master, what you offended is their family of 5. So the most important thing for you now, sir, is to quickly break one by one and try to save yourself. As long as there is someone in the family of 4 and someone speaks for you, you will have a chance to break the game instead of being at a dead end. Changfeng was silent for a long time. He understands what this steward means. He knew that he had really offended his eldest son Zin's family too hard. If Zin is recalled and confess to him and reinstate his heir position, then this matter might be reversed. Chapter 25:15. At this moment, Zin was talking on the phone with his son Jifei. Jifei drove from East Cliff to Oris Hill late at night, but as soon as he arrived, he immediately fell into a predicament at a loss. He came to Oris Hill to find the whereabouts of his mother and sister. However, the Oris Hill police sent thousands of people to search the city for a whole day without any results. Jifei alone did not know where to proceed or even start. He originally planned to go back to Du's old house in Oris Hill first and ask the old housekeeper for help. In that case, he still has a place to stay. However, when he thought that he had just offended his grandfather, and his grandfather has let people look for his whereabouts, he suddenly felt a little worried. Therefore, he called Zin, who was far away in Australia, for help, and said to him, "Dad, Grandpa knows that Grandpa has an old house in Oris Hill. Maybe he has already sent someone there to wait for me to pass. If I go to the old butler for help, I might be caught by the Su family before I get in." Zin said solemnly, "There is indeed this risk. I think you should be more cautious. Don't contact the old housekeeper yet." Jifei hurriedly asked, "Dad, what should I do now?" As he said, he couldn't help feeling a little agitated. He choked and said, "Dad, I don't know what to do now. Mom and Zhu are missing. I want to find them, but I don't have the ability to find them at all, and I don't even have a helper by my side. I feel like a complete trash." Zin sighed and said with relief, "My boy, don't blame yourself too much. This kind of thing is far beyond the scope of your control. I would say something bad. Even your grandpa can't grasp the whole thing. How about you?" Jifei cried and said, "I don't want to care about him. I just want to find Mom and Jiu as soon as possible, and they must be safe. Otherwise, I will never forgive that old thing in my life." After that, Jifei hurriedly said, "Dad, come back and help me out, Dad. You are not here. I am too limited alone." Zin hesitated for a moment and then said, "My boy, you should find a place to stay in Oris Hill first, but don't expose your whereabouts to the outside. I will wait for your grandpa's movement to see which flag he is going to take next." In fact, for Zin, although he had seen the news reports and the video uploaded by Charlie, he hated Changfeng, but he still didn't dare to turn his face with the old man directly. The reason why he didn't dare to turn his face was also very simple. It was a complete lack of ability on his side. This is just like when Emperor Guangxu faced the Empress Dowager Cixi. The entire Jiangshan community, military and political power were in the hands of the Empress Dowager Cixi. Although Emperor Guangxu was the emperor, he was not her opponent at all. What's more, Zin doesn't even have the position of the head of the Su family, and Changfeng is the real decision-maker here. Moreover, modern society is very different from feudal society. Feudal society can seek to usurp the throne, but in modern society, everyone pays attention to the legal system. Almost all the assets of the Su group are in the name of the father. Even if other shareholders hold the shares of the Su group, the shares correspond to the vote. The right is completely handed over to the old man. It is impossible to seize the power of the old man. Even if the old man is killed, the shares in the old man's name will be linked to the major trust funds. The rest of the Su family can only take some living expenses from the trust funds on a regular basis. Taking control of the Su family will be a dream. Therefore, even if Zin knew that the old man was going to kill his wife, he would also kill his other daughter, by the way. He would not have the guts to go back and find the old man desperately, because as long as he dared to leave Australia without the permission of his father, he might be put under house arrest directly. Chapter 25:16. Because of this, although he was very worried about Jiu's safety, he still did not dare to leave Australia for half a step until the father spoke. He even dared not call to question the old man, because once he angered the old man, his fate would only become worse on the existing basis. Zhifei is young and has never really experienced anything. The biggest and most serious thing he has experienced in his life was when he was kidnapped in Japan. In fact, when he was kidnapped, he had already panicked. The whole process was like a quail half dead in fright. He was far less calm than his sister Xiu, so all the pressure at the moment was concentrated on his own shoulders, and he couldn't breathe. He desperately longed for his father to come back and be his backbone, but unfortunately, he dared to disobey the old man, but his father did not dare. Hearing that his father said he was waiting, Zhifei couldn't control his emotions and shouted, "Wait for more? What are you waiting for? You are waiting until the news of the death of Mom and Xiu will be announced. Will you be back for the funeral afterward?" Xin felt that every word his son said was like a resounding slap in the face, slamming on his cheek, making him feel that his heart was bleeding. However, he had no choice at this time. He has experienced far more things than Zhifei. He knows what is meant by the courage not to be a man, and he knows what is meant by planning and then acting. He felt that those who knew that the opponent had a gun and rushed up with bare hands were all brave men, yet stupid. Such people are mostly cannon fodder for others. How can they have the opportunity to become a famous player on the battlefield? The son angered the old man. In his opinion, he was already stupid. If he disobeys the old man's intentions at this time and runs back to the country during this sensitive period, he will definitely touch the old man's inverse scales. Once the old man thinks he is rebellious, then it is impossible for him to have a chance to get up again in his life. Therefore, he could only patiently explain, "Zhifei, you asked me to go back and help you. But you know that with your grandfather's character, if I go back now, you may not see my face at all. I will lose my freedom. It's even possible that you will never have the chance to see me again in your life." As he said, he hesitated for a few seconds and said seriously, "Zhifei, you listened to your dad once. It is too late today. You settle down in Oroas Hill first. Tomorrow, while ensuring your safety, you will contact your grandpa and let your grandpa tell your uncle, and your uncle will send someone to help you find the whereabouts of your mother and your sister. You give me 1 day. If your grandfather doesn't contact me during this day, then I will ask him. In any case, I will let him approve of me to return home." Zhifei wanted to scold his mother angrily. However, after calming down, he also understood that what Dad said was not without reason. On the contrary, Dad was deliberate, but he was a bit too impulsive. Thinking of this, he whispered, "Dad, I know. You don't have to worry about me. I will call Grandpa in a while and I will communicate with you again if something happens." Xin gave a hum and said, "Don't call your grandfather tonight. I guess he should be planning how to find your mother and your sister now. Don't disturb him, talk about it tomorrow." As he was talking, his mobile phone suddenly popped up a reminder that another call came in, and he exclaimed, "Your grandpa is calling me." Chapter 25:17. After receiving a call from Changfeng, Xin felt that it was both reasonable and outside. He reassures his son a few words quickly, ends the phone call, turns on Changfeng's call, and can't wait to figure out his intentions. As soon as the phone was connected, Xin said nervously, "Dad, why are you calling me so late?" Changfeng sighed on the other side of the phone and said, "Hey Xin, Dad called to apologize to you." As he said, he asked, "You have already watched the videos circulating on the internet?" Xin said truthfully, "Yes, Dad, I did see it." As soon as his words fell, Xin quickly added, "Dad, I know you must have some opinions on Leona, but I believe you will not have any bad intentions towards you. Stuart and Shude must be coerced by others, so they are talking nonsense in the video and splashing dirty water on you." Xin's words instantly moved Changfeng's heart deeply. He really didn't expect that his eldest son at this time could be so rational and objective, and he even broke the truth of what he wanted to speak out most in his heart. The truth of this matter is, I fucking really never thought of killing my own granddaughter. I only wanted to kill Leona. However, along with Stuart and my own son, both convicted me of the crime in the video and dumped all the black pots and unnecessary charges on me alone, and was seen by more than 1 billion people across the country. My mother can't argue with them. Human emotions are so subtle. Even if you are quite prejudiced against a person when you are not understood by anyone, and only this person can understand you, your attitude towards him will definitely undergo a 180-degree change, because he is your only soulmate. Cheng Feng felt this way at this time. Unexpectedly, it was impossible to understand that his eldest son would break the secret in a word, which not only moved him, but also made him a little surprised. Zin's words are actually intentional. He actually hated Cheng Feng very much in his heart, because even if Jiu's troubles were not caused by the old man, Ruoli always has no quibble. Moreover, Zin himself was buckled in a Shet basin and was thrown into Australia, which was also done by the old man himself. In this case, Zin's hatred for him would not diminish at all, but he still cleverly concealed all the negative emotions, and from the very beginning expressed a complete understanding of the old man, and this time he won the deep heart of the old man. The old man sighed and said, "Zin, you know me. Jiu is my favorite granddaughter. How could I be cruel to her? The outsiders are really confused. They just listen to the villain's framing." As he said, he hurriedly said again, "By the way, there are so many major incidents happening at home now, one after another. You can't stay alone in Australia and enjoy good fortune. Come back and help Dad tide over the difficulties." When Zin heard what the old man said, his expression was even more ugly than eating shh. Chapter 25:18. The old man does have a set. Obviously, he sent me to Australia, and then put me under house arrest in disguise, and now he needs me to go back to help. He even said that I am now in Australia to enjoy the good fortune, and I have the fucking blessing in this shabby place, me. Even though he thought so, Zin immediately followed the old man's words and said, "Dad, I'm so sorry. I really have been spared during this time. If you need me to come back and help, then I will be at your disposal at any time." Zin wanted to go back, but he couldn't immediately say that. So he said, "If you need me, then I will set out." Even if the old man said it for this purpose, he must put the initiative in the old man's hands, and finally say one more sentence, always waiting for the old man's dispatch. In this way, on the one hand, it appears that he has absolute respect for the old man, and on the other hand, he appears humble in front of the old man. In this way, it can also reduce the old man's defensive heart for himself. Hearing this, the old man felt refreshed and hurriedly said, "Well, let me get the plane ready for the Australian side so you can get back as soon as possible." After speaking, he added, "By the way, I plan to leave East Cliff as soon as possible and go to Suhang to hide from the limelight. Otherwise, the police and Du's family will probably come to the door before dawn. It will definitely be big trouble." Zin hurriedly asked, "Dad, why are you going to leave East Cliff?" Cheng Feng said, "I plan to go to Suzhou. There are some of our properties and a large manor. I want to go there first and be quiet. Besides, it is also closer to Orus Hill, so it is more convenient for me to take command." Zin asked, "Dad, should I go to East Cliff or reach Suhang?" "Fly to Suzhou." Cheng Feng said, "I hang up the phone and go directly to the airport by helicopter. I can get to Suzhou in about 3 hours. You will fly directly to Suzhou. I will wait for you there." "Okay," Zin said immediately. "Then I will prepare." Cheng Feng opened the mouth and said, "Zin, there are some things that trouble Dad. You must not blame me, especially Leona's affairs. Dad is also helpless to consider the reputation of the Su family." Zin said without hesitation, "Don't worry, Dad. I understand you 100% on this point." As he said, he couldn't help sighing, and then said, "You tell me, Leona, this woman has never forgotten Chang Ying in her heart for so many years. She and I have not divorced yet, so she ran to Orus Hill to buy Chang Ying's house. When it gets smaller, it's hitting my Zin's face. When it's bigger, It hits the face of the entire Su family. Even if you don't want to solve this trouble, once I come back, I won't let her go." After hearing this, Changfeng said with great satisfaction, "Xin, you can have this knowledge. I am very pleased that you are the son of Su's family. In the face of big things, you can see more clearly than ordinary people." Speaking of this, he continued, "It's getting late, you should hurry up and prepare. Let's talk about specific things when you come back." "Okay," Xin said respectfully. "Dad, you rush on the road overnight, pay more attention to your body." "Okay, I see," Changfeng replied, remembering something, and then said, "By the way, when the video came out, Zhifei came to me and made a fuss, and then I didn't know where he has gone. He contacts you and you remember to apologize for me. As a grandfather, my temper is really hot, so please don't take it to your heart." Xin really did not expect that the old man would take the initiative to apologize to his son, and hurriedly said, "Dad, knowing that he just called me again. The biggest problem with this child is that he is not mature enough, and he has not encountered things in life as of yet. The information from the outside world is so obsessing that he can't see the essence of the matter. Don't share your knowledge with him. After I come back, I must bring him to you and kowtow." Changfeng was very satisfied with Xin's remarks and said, "If this is the case, then I can rest assured. You hurry back. I will wait for you in Suhang." Chapter 25:19. One thing that Elder Su is better than Xin is that he used clues to construct a general framework in his brain, and in this framework he calculated the existence of Charlie, a mysterious person. In fact, Changfeng has always been a very shrewd old fox, and there are almost no loopholes in many of his plans, but only a few times because he could not foresee a variable like Charlie, so he missed a little bit and went wrong. This time he speculated that Jiyu was not dead, and speculated that she must be rescued by an expert, so he decided to try his best to restore Xin's family, and its faith in him. The first breakthrough point was naturally Xin, the head of the family. The call just now not only calmed Xin, but also expressed his apologies to Zhifei in front of Xin. If the father and son believe his words, he would gain the confidence of at least half of the family of 4. Although it is impossible for Xin to forgive Changfeng so easily, at this moment his heart is indeed relieved a bit because of Father Su's initiative to admit his mistake just now. After all, Changfeng never bowed his head to admit his mistakes in his entire life, and suddenly apologized in person, which really surprised him. Moreover, Changfeng couldn't count the existence of the mysterious factor Charlie, so he didn't know the real motive of the old man's softness. In addition, he himself was sent to Australia. Even if the old man did something sorry for him, there was no need to bow his head to him. Even the old man could completely put him under house arrest. This is also the old man's consistent behavior style. But the old man didn't choose this method. Instead, he actively bowed his head to admit his mistake and begged for forgiveness. This made Xin feel that the old man might really have realized that he had the idea of reforming and making up for himself. The old man is willing to make up for him, and agree to let him return to China, which is equivalent to preparing to restore his heir status. No one would have trouble with the trillions of fortunes, so in addition to surprise, Xin's heart also had an uncontrollable excitement. However, on the one hand, there was the grief and worry of the unidentified life and death of his own daughter. These completely different moods mixed together, which made Xin a little ashamed. The reason why he was ashamed was also that he found that he couldn't stop the excitement in his heart under such circumstances. This also made him thoroughly understand the truth. Why was there a series of battles for the throne and power between the flesh and blood of the closest relatives in ancient times? The history of elder brother killing younger brother killing elder brother, father killing son, son killing father, etc., is not uncommon. The reason is that the benefits placed in front of them are so great that they can leave their blood and affection behind. At the expense of one's loved ones, if only 100 can be exchanged, not many people in this world will agree. However, if you sacrifice your loved ones, what if you can get back 10 billion, or even 1 trillion? I am afraid that many people will be completely confused by this huge benefit. Xin is also a mortal, and he also has 7 emotions and 6 desires. After being sent to Australia, he felt the loss of power, and this sense of loss made him unforgettable. Now that he finally saw the opportunity to turn against the wind, how could he not be excited deep in his heart? So he called Jifei and told him briefly about the situation, and then told him, "Jifei, I think your grandpa really realized his mistake this time, so you shouldn't be here either. This will resist him too much, you know." Chapter 25:20. Jifei said angrily, "Dad, we are unclear about the life or death of Mom and Jiu at his hands. Tell me not to resist him too much? Didn't you watch the video circulating on the internet? Mom and Jiu were in that car. What has become of it?" "Stupid," Xin angrily shouted. "It has happened. What can you and your grandfather try to save? Not only can nothing be saved, but you will also be gone forever. You know, I am the eldest grandson of the Su family, and you are the eldest son of the Su family. Your grandfather will live for more than 10 years at most. At that time, if I cannot be the head of the Su family, I will have to go away. If your second uncle, your third uncle, or your fourth uncle took the seat of the head of the house, would it make our family feel better? I ask you, do you know how your grandfather's brothers ended up after your grandfather becomes the owner of the house? These uncles of mine didn't have a chance to live in China. The day they failed to seize a position was the beginning of their family's departure overseas. Speaking of this, Xin said emotionally, "Those who have failed to seize the princes leave China and go overseas, and can get less than 1% of the assets of the family. The most unlucky one can't even get even that 1%. Here, do you want to wait 10 years to be kicked out of China, lose all the positions, funds, and assets given to you by the family, and bring your family several hundred million in assets to live overseas?" Jifei fell into silence. As the saying goes, it is easy to change from frugality to luxury, and it is difficult to change from luxury to frugality. Now he doesn't care about money at all. He has private jets when he goes out, and in the world's eyes, he has his own business. He can do whatever he wants. But once the father has said that he fails to seize his position and is sent overseas, he will lose everything instantly. Better private jet costs hundreds of millions. If he really is deprived of all assets and leave only a few hundred million in for his family, what will he live on? Xin also knew very well that his words had touched his son's heart, so he was very wise to choose enough to stop instead of rushing for success. So he opened his mouth and said, "Okay, I'll tell you this much first. Your grandfather asked me to go to Suzhou to meet him. You will find a place to stay in the city tonight and drive to Suzhou tomorrow morning. I will be able to arrive almost by tomorrow afternoon. When you come to the airport to see me, let's meet your grandpa together." Jifei was silent for a moment, no longer showing his rebellion and confrontation, and whispered, "I know, Dad, after you take off. Send me a WeChat, and I will find time to pick you up. Well, be careful and take care of yourself." This night, the reality is extremely calm, but the online world continues to boil. The attacks and abuses against Cheng Feng have intensified. What he did has even begun to be reported by overseas media, and he himself is quietly hiding in Suhang overnight. Xin boarded the private plane of the Su family and departed from Australia for a direct flight to Suzhou. As for Jifei, for the sake of caution, he did not go to seek refuge with anyone known to the family, nor did he go to the hotel. Instead, he lay in his limousine with the heater on all night. This night, the 3 generations of the Su family all had no sleep. In sharp contrast to them, Leona and Jiu, mother and daughter, lay on the extremely comfortable bed in the hotel and slept peacefully all night. At 8 o'clock in the morning, Jiu was the first to wake up and opened her eyes slightly.